What's going on, guys? So I wanted to show you guys a new kingpin that is actually coming as an optional or even standard equipment on some of these new open range fifth wheels. This is the King Combo unit. You actually have the ability to swap out a kingpin with a gooseneck adapter, and it's actually built by Lippert Components. So this is, of course, approved for use on their coaches. One of my subscribers actually made a video of him switching it out to the gooseneck adapter for his truck, and it was pretty impressive. So that's really nice that they've come up with a solution to help maximize the use of a gooseneck type connection on a fifth wheel. But I wanted to show you this because it's a pretty neat looking setup. Right now it is set up with a kingpin instead of a gooseball hitch, but it's pretty cool. Well, the purpose of today's video is a little different, mainly because I know a lot of folks that are out there look at used vehicles as being the best way to go, as if you buy a used vehicle, you are less likely to lose money on the sale. You're going to be in a better position to sell that vehicle, you're going to be in a better position to pay off that vehicle, and quite frankly, you don't get that initial depreciation that you might get with a used vehicle. So what I wanted to do today is talk to you about some of the precautions that you must take when shopping for a pre-owned vehicle. Me personally, I have been through it all. When I first started driving, I had pre-owned vehicles from, those buy here, pay here type places, whether you finance or not. They're the kind of places that really would love to self-finance you because they can get you into some really high interest rate loans, or they can put you in a position to where if you don't pay, they can shut your vehicle off, or in some cases track where you're driving it, how you're driving it, and things like that. I personally, in my later life, avoid dealerships like that like the plague because of several reasons. Not just because of the financing practices and how they tend to put people in very, very hard to pay off financial positions. I mainly discourage people from buying from those dealerships because of the fact that they get their vehicles from sources or in ways that, in my opinion, are sometimes less than ethical. Now, I'm not talking about them all. There are small mom and pop car dealerships that will sell vehicles that are in good shape, or maybe the specific vehicle you're looking at is in better shape than, the typical vehicle sold on these dealership lots. But me personally, I recommend buying it from really reputable, larger dealerships, whether it's a locally owned brand, whether it's a Chevrolet dealership that's owned locally, whether it is a Ram, Ford, Nissan, it doesn't matter to me. I would generally recommend that you get your vehicle from those dealerships. Again, getting a used vehicle from any dealership is not an exact science. It's not going to guarantee the vehicle you're getting is going to be great or that it's going to have no problems. I believe you have a greater chance of limiting the problems that you have by getting it at a larger, more reputable dealership. And here's why. Oftentimes, a dealership like the one I'm at right now, which is AutoNation Chevrolet, they have a pretty big assortment of pre-owned vehicles, and they look great. But what you'll find is occasionally they'll have some higher mileage vehicles, or they'll have some vehicles that you kind of wonder why they have. And the reason they usually have those vehicles is because somebody owned that vehicle, traded it in for a newer vehicle or a new vehicle, and the dealership simply has that vehicle for a short period of time until they're able to get rid of it via wholesale or auction. The reason why they do this is they want to see if there is some appeal with that vehicle. They want to see if somebody's interested in it. But the main goal is to get rid of it and mainly stock their lot with vehicles that meet a higher standard of, pre-ownership. Basically, more records, less accident likelihood, no rust, things like that. Now, that's not to say you're not going to find a vehicle with rust on a bigger dealership's lot. The chances are smaller, though. You don't have as much of a likelihood of running across a vehicle that's going to have significant problems when you get it from a larger dealership, because they really don't like to hold on to those vehicles. they will generally offer them up for wholesale to smaller dealerships or brokers or other companies that want to buy that vehicle, try to do some basic reconditioning to sell it. Now, I bring this up because I was recently asked by a family member who's trying to get his child a new truck or a used truck if I could help him find one for $10,000 or less. Now, the problem with this is finding a vehicle in what you could consider to be fair to good condition in that price range in the configuration he's looking for. The reason why that's such an issue is generally you can find a truck in that price range, but it's going to have extremely high miles, it'll be older, and it could have some problems such as rust, mechanical issues, other issues like that. Now, there are going to be people who comment on this video basically saying that the truck they bought, they easily could find a reliable truck for under $10,000. And they found theirs for under $10,000 10, 15 years ago. Now, understanding that that might be very true 10 to 15 years ago, it's not so true today. Finding a pre-owned pickup truck in four-wheel drive configuration, crew cab, with reasonable miles in good mechanical or physical condition, little to no rust, little to no mechanical problems, is very difficult. And I have scoured the entire state looking for a truck that I would consider a good, reliable truck. Now, there are folks who will make the claim that, well, just get a Toyota Tundra. If it has 250,000 miles, it's still in good shape. These are not accurate claims. They're only accurate if you have the service history of those vehicles. If you can find a vehicle with high mileage and you can pretty much guarantee that it was taken care of over that period of time, then yes, you could say any vehicle is reliable even beyond the 100,000 mile mark. But the problem is finding a vehicle that you know has the records and the evidence to show that it was well taken care of. So that's really where the problem lies. For someone to ask me what is a good year, make, model of vehicle to buy as a pre-owned vehicle with high mileage, I can't answer that because I don't know how the previous owner or owners took care of that vehicle. I don't know how important preventative maintenance was to them. I don't know if the vehicle was involved in an accident or if there was some type of, one-off issue that specific truck had, or, what happened to it over its life. So to simply say, go look for a, 2000 model Ram 2500 Cummins truck because that's going to be a good truck is about as far from the truth as possible. It would be a good truck given all the other hundreds of factors fall into place and you have great service records. The driver of the truck wasn't ragging it out. He wasn't trying to drag race with it. He didn't do any kind of extensive modification that could have potentially hurt the truck and reduced its life. All those things factor in. Also, when you're talking about buying from dealerships like these mom and pop places that get their vehicles from auction or wholesale from larger dealerships, you're taking the risk that these vehicles are being sold with problems that might be covered up or simply may be issues that the main dealership that sold it wholesale didn't want to deal with. So a secondary dealership is maybe going to cover up rust, or they're going to try to fix something by welding a bracket that might have broken, which I actually saw recently with a pre-owned vehicle. They're going to try to do something to make that vehicle eligible to be sold because they're going to be able to buy it for pennies on the dollar as a wholesale vehicle. So you want to keep all of that in mind when you're shopping for a vehicle. I generally shy away from any dealership that is really dealing with only high-mile pre-owned vehicles. Now, if you're simply looking for a vehicle to get you from point A to point B, you don't mind if it has some minor mechanical issues and you're willing to put some money into it to work on it, some of these vehicles may be okay as long as you inspect them to make sure that the reason they're so affordably priced is because of the miles and not because the vehicle was involved in a collision or because the vehicle has major problems that are being covered up. That is a huge issue. Pull up the carpet. Just pull it back slightly. See if you see rust. Look underneath the column area, right? Stick your head in there, look up, and see if the wires look rusty. See if there are issues that might point towards flood damage, might point towards some type of abuse, might point towards some type of modification that had to be changed, or perhaps that the vehicle was just involved in a collision. Collisions can cause extreme damage to vehicles, and if they're not repaired properly, it can really lead to problems down the road. It can lead to failures of components. It can lead to suspension problems. It can lead to more than just an engine transmission failure. Basically, you can have parts of the vehicle fall off while you're driving. And I don't want any of my viewers to experience that just because they got a great deal on a vehicle. So keep that in mind. Nothing is free. People generally like to charge what they consider fair market value for a vehicle. So if you find a place that has extraordinarily low prices on pre-owned vehicles, there's a reason for that. If you find places that charge a little bit more than most dealerships for pre-owned vehicles, there may be a reason for that. Is it certified? Has it gone through an extensive inspection process? What have they done to reconfigure that vehicle to make sure that it was a really, really good pre-owned vehicle for the next owner? All things you really need to consider. Just remember, if the price is too good to be true, it probably really is too good to be true. Do your research. Rely on more than just one research engine. You don't have to just look at Carfax. There's other places online you can go to get a free vehicle VIN check of, the history of that vehicle, and they're all very important to look at when researching a vehicle, even if it costs you 50, 60 bucks in research to do so. Anyways, guys, I hope this video has been informative. If it has, I would really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up, take a moment, subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you again soon.